No one in that small town was prepared for what would happen that night. It was a cold Wednesday. The sky was completely clear and everything followed its usual rhythm. Lights glowing behind windows, dogs barking somewhere in the distance, the winter wind cutting through the main street with that familiar whistle. It was the kind of night where nothing ever happened. Until 9:14 p.m. That was the moment a phone call changed the life of an entire family and became something the town would never forget. James Carter was sitting in the living room, finishing work documents while drinking coffee that had already gone cold. He was a man of routine, predictable, organized, the kind of person no one ever suspected of anything strange. His wife, Melissa, was upstairs putting the kids to bed, just like she did every night. Then the landline rang. The sound echoed through the house, louder than it should have been, almost violent in the silence. Nobody called that late, and almost nobody used the landline anymore. James hesitated for a second, then picked up the receiver. At first there was only silence. Then he heard breathing, slow, deep, dragging, so close it felt like someone was standing right beside him. And finally a woman's voice whispered, weak and desperate, "James, don't leave the house tonight." She warned him not to open the door for anyone. And then the call ended. James stood frozen, staring at the phone, trying to understand what had just happened. Before he could even react, the lights in the house flickered. Once, twice, 3 times. Melissa came downstairs confused by his expression. James told her about the call, about the warning. She tried to rationalize it. Strange calls happen, after all. She didn't finish the sentence. 3 heavy knocks hit the front door. The sound echoed through the house, deep and forceful, as if someone was hitting the wood with purpose. James looked through the window. No one was there. No car. No movement. No footprints in the damp grass. Only the wind. Then the doorbell rang. Once, twice, 3 times, insistent, demanding. James placed his hand on the doorknob, but something inside him refused to open it. And then a voice came from the other side. "Open it, James." Her deep, rough voice. Calm, confident. A voice he didn't recognize, yet somehow knew him. James didn't answer the door. He stayed still, listening. On the other side, the man didn't knock again. He didn't shout, he didn't threaten. That silence felt worse than the noise. It was the kind of quiet that suggested patience, as if whatever was outside knew time was on its side. "How you know who I am?" the man repeated calmly. James searched his memory. Faces from the past, old co-workers, neighbors. Nothing fit. And yet, the voice felt intimate, familiar in a way that made his skin crawl, like hearing your own voice played back slightly distorted. Then the man said something that froze him completely. "You shouldn't have answered the phone." James felt his stomach twist. "Now they know where you are." "They?" James asked. No answer. That's when the shadows appeared. At first, James thought it was just the trees moving, but then he realized the shapes were wrong, too tall, too still. 3 dark silhouettes stood near the windows, not moving, not breathing, just watching. Melissa whispered his name from behind him. The lights flickered. Once, twice, 3 times. Then everything went dark. The house didn't feel empty anymore, it felt occupied. Scratching began at the door. Long, deliberate movements, nails dragging slowly across the wood as if whatever was outside wanted to be heard, but not rushed. James told Melissa to take the kids upstairs and lock themselves in the bedroom. He could hear their footsteps retreating, hear the fear in their breathing. And that's when he realized something terrifying. The knocking had stopped. Whatever was outside was no longer outside. The silence returned, thick and suffocating. James stood alone in the living room, listening. The house creaked in ways it never had before. Floorboards shifted upstairs, slow and heavy, as if someone was walking without caring about being heard. Then the phone rang. The landline. James stared at it in disbelief. He knew he had unplugged it. Still, it rang. When he answered, the breathing returned. That same slow, dragging breath. "They're inside," the woman whispered. James turned slowly, scanning the dark hallway. The beam of his flashlight trembled, barely cutting through the darkness. Something moved at the edge of the light, not fast, not slow, just enough to be noticed. "There's a way out," the woman said, "but you have to listen to me." A door upstairs creaked open. James heard one of the children cry out. "Don't look behind you," the woman warned. "No matter what you hear, no matter what you feel." Footsteps echoed in the hallway now. Bare feet. Too many steps. Too many pauses between them. James felt breath against his neck. Cold. Wrong. He wanted to turn around. Every instinct screamed at him to look, to face it, to fight it. The woman screamed through the phone. "Go now!" James took a step forward. Something brushed against his arm. Another step. A whisper behind him, so close it felt inside his head. "You were warned." And then the voice on the phone changed. It was no longer the woman. It was the man from the door. Too late, James. The line went dead. Police arrived the next morning. The front door was wide open. No signs of forced entry, no blood, no struggle. Lights throughout the house were burned out, as if overloaded all at once. The landline phone lay on the floor, cracked, unplugged. The family was gone. Neighbors said they heard nothing. No screams, no alarms, just silence. But something strange appeared in the official report. At exactly 9:14 p.m. the following night, the phone rang. Again. And it rang the night after that. Always at the same time. Locals began to whisper. Some claimed the house had always been wrong, that previous owners never stayed long, that the house didn't like being observed. One officer reportedly answered the phone once. He never said what he heard. He resigned a week later. Today the house stands empty, and some nights, if you're close enough, you can still hear a phone ringing inside. And if you answer, a voice whispers, "Don't open the door tonight.